Hi, this is Sergeant Betsy Brantner Smith with the National Police Association, and this is the National Police Association podcast. I have a guest today that I'm pretty sure most of you know. He's really making a big splash on the political scene, running for the governor of California. But before all of this, he's been spending most of his adult life serving the citizens of his community. And so I thought you really needed to meet him and really understand that heart for service that we don't always see in our political leaders. So Sheriff Chad Bianco, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
So I got to ask you the same thing I ask everybody else because we've all got a story. Why'd you become a cop?
Yeah, there really is no why. I think you got to be super honest, it was the pay and the benefits were more than what I was making at the time. And I think that probably that really truly is why, because I never had an interest in law enforcement before. We don't have a family background, anything like that. There was one time in college where I thought of being like a fish and game wildlife person. And that I guess could have close to law enforcement, but it really, I just fell into it. The day one of the academy, I put myself through an academy. Day one of the academy, it was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing in the world. And it truly has been. I don't remember any bad days in law enforcement. It's been great for me, great for my family. And I truly, I'm a God believer, and I think God led me into this path. And he knew that this is where I was supposed to be, and where the skills that he gave me were going to be best used. And I've enjoyed the last 32 years immensely.
Awesome. So tell everybody where you work and just kind of the highlights of your career because you've done a lot of different things.
I have. With the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. We're in Southern California. It's a big agency. We're the fourth largest sheriff's agency in the country. I've got just shy of 4,400 employees, 17 contract cities. So that's a handful. 17 city councils on top of a board of supervisors, bunch of jails, 5 jails, 13 patrol stations. We're a very, very large agency. I've got a 1.3, just shy of $1.3 billion budget. So it's big. It's a massive agency, and I'm very blessed to be the leader of it. We've got great employees. It's absolutely love it. My career, I've been doing it for 32 years. I started in corrections, which typically that's what you do at a sheriff's office. We've changed that here, but I did a couple of years in the jail and then went out to patrol, and obviously loved my patrol experience. I was in narcotics enforcement for a while. That was probably my favorite. I started to promote. I did internal affairs. I have an internal affairs background. I did not want to go to internal affairs. That was like the worst. But in
Because you have
hindsight,
no friends.
you do not. And but I will tell you, in hindsight, it was probably the best thing for my career. It truly did show me that everybody wasn't as ethical as I thought I was, and deputies do some pretty dumb things that we have to investigate. And it really showed me that there's a completely different side of law enforcement than the black and white. The admin part, the budget parts, the lawsuit parts, the civil liability, all of those things. So that really probably sent my career on the trajectory up. And so once I started promoting, I went back to patrol. I had a detective bureau for some time. That probably was the most, I don't want to say impactful, but the most memorable time in my career. Back in 2005, I definitely personally, as a dad, as a protector, I've got 3 boys and a daughter. My baby's a girl, and there's child sex crimes, child crimes against children. Those are very personal, and they're easy to investigate, and you definitely want to solve those. So back in 2006, I was responsible for bringing Dateline to my station. We did a sting. It was the first in the country. It became Dateline's #1 successful show, I guess. It was Dateline to Catch a Predator. And we brought a bunch of predators into our community, 51 of them over a 3-day period that we arrested for coming here to molest a child. And it really showed the dangers of the internet and how easy it was for kids to pick up on or for for kids to be picked up on by adults and misled and the danger. So it changed our county. We still have a countywide task force that was formed because of that sting, and we play a big part in that today. So that was that's a special part for my career. I ended up promoting again as a lieutenant. I was a lieutenant for quite a while, 6 years, 7 years, and I got to the point where I knew we weren't being honest with the public. We weren't being honest with what our capabilities should have been, what we were doing with money. We weren't trying to save money, but we were telling people we were. And the administration, I was getting very disenfranchised with what law enforcement is supposed to be doing, telling the truth. And we were being told to deny things or not talk to the press because they didn't want the truth getting out. And at that time, I was a lieutenant, and I decided to run for sheriff back in 2014, and I lost, and it was a big turning factor in my career. I ran against my boss and lost, and that didn't go well for us. It didn't for me and my wife. I was not 50 yet, so I could not retire. We were very, very afraid that I was going to get fired. There was a lot of retribution and really punishment that came along with that, which I knew there would be something. And I didn't lose my job, so I was grateful for that part. But it was a little different. It made me want to leave law enforcement as soon as I was old enough to go and pull that retirement and leave the state. And so in 2017, I decided to do that. And we picked a retirement date. We bought a house in another state. And before we reached that date, the Deputies Association convinced me that I needed to run again. I really didn't want to. We were happy about leaving, and we were feeling like we were going to be very comfortable where we were going. And there was the retribution from my boss again because the word got out that I was being asked. And so finally, it was actually my wife's decision. She's like, well, we'll just stick around for 6 more months. If you win, great. If we lose, we're going to retire anyway. And so I made that decision to run in 2017 for the 2018 election, and I won. So it's been nothing but good since then. I won in 2022. I won re-election. There was a little bit of a change of a law in California, so I got 2 years added to my 4-year term. They wanted to take it away. Constitutionally they couldn't. So my next election is 2028, which brought me to the governor's race. I saw a lot of people that were signing up to be the next governor to run for election. They were all Democrats. There was about a dozen of them, and I knew all of them. And it was in fighting Sacramento for public safety, I knew that the people that were signing up to be the next governor were the same people, the same faces that put us here in this position in California in the first place. And we would not get better. We would either stay the same or get worse if any of those people won. And eventually, with no one else getting in the race, California is tough to begin with. You have to have a name recognition. And I guess luckily for me or unluckily for me, depending on how you want to look at it, I had that name recognition. I had that face recognition because of actions that I took during COVID in 2020 and the riots and everything else. And so I became a known commodity here, particularly in Southern California. And then I just decided to do it. At the time, we had a massive proposition that we were getting on the ballot to a public safety referendum, basically, that was a little bite of the apple of a proposition back in 2014 that really harmed us. And so I was traveling the state as the face of law enforcement for this proposition, and that helped out too. So as I'm traveling, it's the state is broken. You're in a perfect position to do this. I will blame a little bit on my friend from Nevada, my sheriff that won the governorship there, and he proved that it was possible, and he proved that people respect sheriffs and they respect the crime fighting and the hold criminals accountable and even government accountable. So we're really modeling it after his run, and
that was
Sheriff
a great
Lombardo,
run. And it was
yeah,
it was
Sheriff
very
Lombardo did a
successful.
great job there, and he's done a fantastic job as Governor Lombardo. And I think people here see what happened in Nevada. They know now that they're better off. And I think the residents of California are just we're so tired of being lied to, and we're so tired of the corruption in government. And I think that looking to a sheriff to go into Sacramento and make a difference, I think that's appealing to a lot of people. And it's now showing in the polls. I mean, I'm leading in the polls, a Republican in California, the first time that anyone can remember. And so things are going very well for us. And I think we're finally going to turn California around.
Well, I got to tell you. So first and foremost, and we talked about this before the show. God bless your wife, right?
Oh yeah.
Who really could have had you, back up the house, take your pension check, and let's get out of here. And but obviously, this was a team effort, right? You and her, who looked
It's
around and said, we just can't abandon this state that we love.
that's exactly what it is. My parents have left. Her entire family has moved to Idaho. Mine moved to Nevada, and we don't want to leave. Our kids, unfortunately, are looking for a state where they can. I came here for the California dream, and my kids are looking for their Tennessee dream, their Texas dream, their Idaho dream, their Florida dream. Whatever state that they're looking for that offers a better chance for them to raise their kids in better schools, and it's cheaper there, the cost of living and the job opportunities. And we don't want to leave. My wife and I don't want to leave. We love it here, and we want to fight for it. We want to make things better. We knew it was going to be difficult, but we're doing everything we can for us and for our kids and for millions of other kids in California that don't have the availability or the opportunity to achieve their California dream because it's too expensive here. So we're going to make a difference. And she certainly is a trooper. It was the final decision to run was up to my wife and kids, because we had running against my boss, we had some very, very brutal, ugly campaigns. The lies, the attacks, not only on me, I'm okay. I mean, we've got thick skin as cops, but when it comes on the kids and when it comes on my wife, they don't have, and they shouldn't have, as thick skin as I do, and they shouldn't be involved in this. But the ugliness of my two campaigns before, it was hard on my family, and so it had to be up to them. I left it up to them to say yes or no, and all of them, they know what's coming. The lies and the attacks, and social media especially now is even worse, so they know what's coming. They're experiencing it a little bit right now, but they were absolutely yes. My three kids that are still here said absolutely yes, we don't want to leave, and if you can fix it for us, we will retire here, and our kids will retire here. But if I don't win, I think they're probably going to flee. So we're going to make sure I win.
So let's explain to people, because a lot of people wonder, they don't really understand the difference between the sheriff and a police chief. A
Mhm.
police chief's appointed by somebody, a mayor, a city council, whatever. Sheriff, you're elected, you're chosen by the people,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes. So
and
a countywide election.
so because of that, you not only are you managing everything you talked about, and in a huge agency like yours, you're managing sworn and civilian and crime and jail and all these other things. But then you also are responsible to those people who elected you. So
Yeah.
you've done that very successfully. Now, as governor, you're going to broaden this out from Riverside, California. What do you think people are expecting of you that's going to be different than the way they're living now?
Yeah, I think as far as from me, I think that I'm a known commodity. There is not anything out there. Everyone knows exactly who I am, what I stand for, what I believe in, and that truly the years of service, the 32 years of sacrificial public service to everyone else, I think that's a known commodity. And my past is kind of irrefutable. It's all out there in black and white. There's nothing negative. Everything I've been very successful, thankfully, and very blessed being the leader of this organization. But the attacks still come, the lies still come. They try and make you. We all have bad deputies, bad cops. They all do stupid things. So they try and paint me as, we arrest one of our deputies for something stupid and fire them, but then they want the public to believe that it was me that did it, or how corrupt we are, or whatever the case may be. So, but I think that the general public sees that. They know that those are just baseless attacks, and so they're basically expecting from me exactly what I've done here in California. And so while I'm traveling this state and telling everyone what to expect from me, knowing how and why government is broken, and then telling them that I'm going to fix it and how I'm going to fix it, they know that I'm also telling them the truth. I make it very clear to everybody that because of my position, this law enforcement position, and I throw it out there, the you lie, you die. I mean, we have an obligation, whether we're on duty or off duty, to tell the truth. And if we don't, that's going to be used against us in court. We can't be cops if we're proven dishonest. So I tell people all of the time, people may be saying the same thing that I am, but if we're saying something different, you can be rest assured I'm the only one telling you the truth. And so that resonates with people, and they expect me to do what I'm telling them I'm going to do, and I'm showing them that it's very, very doable and very, very easy with our regulatory process, and working with what is probably going to be a supermajority still. I hope not. I hope it's just a majority. But I'm not afraid of that, and it's okay to work with other people to get things done. That's how government's supposed to work. And I think what I've shown that I can do to lead the Riverside County Sheriff's Office, people are expected that I'm going to do the same thing in Sacramento with a legislature that has been dysfunctional for decades. And I know that's going to be my role. That's going to be my job, and I'm certainly not going to shy away from it. And I believe we're going to be very successful doing it.
There's some areas of the state, areas that everybody in the country knows about, right? San Francisco, Los Angeles, that have had some extraordinary crime problems,
Yeah.
since probably 2020. Um, how are you? What's your plans to address all of that as governor?
Yeah, crime is easy. The Democrat policies for the last 20 years have been very, very pro-criminal. It's anti-public safety. It's let everybody out of jail. It's make things not crimes anymore. It's eliminate laws. It's take away the enhancements that put people in jail or prison for longer. It really is a love affair with criminals that's been going on for 20 years. And people are sick of it. People are absolutely tired of being victimized. They're tired of, particularly in the inner cities, that crime is just rampant. And the places where Democrat strongholds, which are the San Franciscos and the Los Angeleses and things like that, those urban cities are Democrat strongholds, and the people are finally realizing that the Democrats have done nothing to help them. They've only harmed them. And one of those things that we're seeing that it's changing is the most recent statewide poll that came out. They not only did a statewide poll that found me leading, but they broke it down to just the Los Angeles area market, Los Angeles in particular. And I'm leading in Los Angeles, which is predominantly Democrat. And it's not a secret here that I'm a very fiscally conservative, especially, but I'm a conservative Republican. And people are at the point where even though they're Democrats, they're like, okay, we're done. I'll vote for the sheriff. I may not vote for a Republican. I'm voting for a sheriff because we need massive help here, not only for crime, but now we're learning of how corrupt our government is. And so people are saying, look, people need to go to jail. People need to be held accountable for victimize us or stealing our money or embezzling our money, whatever the case may be. And so they're not looking to Chad Bianco to fix things, the Republican. It's we want a sheriff to come in and fix our state. And I think that is really the driver behind the success of my campaign. And that's okay because we knew that was going to be a big part of it.
Well, that's the history of the sheriff, the reef of the Shire, the guy who did what?
Yeah.
Kept his eye on the taxes. When you look at, honestly, we should probably, every governor in the country ought to be a sheriff. Because and I'm so glad you said that, because we have become so siloed politically in this country that unfortunately we see people elected to positions, including sheriff, that probably shouldn't be the top law enforcement person in the state, or I'm sorry, in the county, because of their politics. We're so siloed. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
people are looking at you for you and your skills and your abilities, and not whether you have an R or a D behind your name. I think that's huge.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think the Democrat Party obviously has come against me. I mean, it's a nonpartisan race. Sheriff is nonpartisan. It's just who do you believe is going to provide you the best public safety? And that's why they voted for me. That's why they reelected me again. And when I stood up in 2020 against the mandates that were closing down the state and the churches and all of those things, while at the same time they were releasing thousands, tens of thousands of prisoners from state prison, then the governor said he wanted me to arrest people for not wearing masks. And I took a very open and loud stance that said, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And we are not going to do that in Riverside County. Our businesses are going to stay open. We're going to go to church. We're not going to all get vaccines. I mean, all of those things that it's like we have a constitution and people have rights. And that was me protecting not only my agency, but my county, my community. But the Democrat Party, because we are so siloed, the Democrat Party took that as an attack on them. And so the Democrat Party in California certainly has come at me, wanting me out of office. And it's very unfortunate because I don't want anything to do with politics. I wish we didn't have D's and R's in our names when we ran. And I wish it was only based on integrity and character and leadership ability and whether or not you really believed that I was going to make a difference or resume what I'm doing now. Because when you look at the career politicians who have destroyed the state that are running for office right now against me, every single one of them are just nothing but career politicians. We're tired of all of that. And then you have me that represents really a public servant who sacrifices myself and my family every single day to make everybody's lives better. That's resonating with people. And we should have more sheriffs running. And what happened in California, I will tell you, things are going to backfire on the Democrat Party because they changed the law in California to try and get rid of me, particularly by going over data saying that they could get more Democrats out to vote in a presidential election instead of a governor's election. And my sheriff election was on the governor's cycle since the beginning for 130 years. And they changed it and they put it on the presidential cycle so they could get more Democrats out to basically unelect me. Well, what that did is that gave me a free election. I am still the sheriff. I don't have to give up my spot to run for governor. I never would. And now it's just a free election, so it's allowing me to. And that is truly, even after I win this election and do it for the next 8 years, I'm hoping that there's going to be another sheriff, a very popular sheriff in the state that people are going to look to and say, that's the guy or that's the girl that we want to replace him because look how successful we've been with him here. And so for all of you people looking across the country, get your sheriff so you're very powerful and positive and non-political sheriffs to run for these offices of governors and statewide elections, because I think it's very, very doable.
I think you're starting a national movement. I love it right here.
I might. I will say I have a very good friend that's a sheriff back east. He's really I'm not gonna out him. He's in the central part of the country, and we have national meetings, and I'm really good friends with him. We're really close, and he is actually considering running for governor just because he's seeing what's happening here, and he's a very popular in his own right in his community, and I think he may do it. So we'll see how that works.
Good. After the show, I need you to introduce me. Because I do think that this is really the wave of the future. Because you said such a powerful term, career politician. You say that to anybody in this country and they roll their eyes, right? Because we're all tired of it. R or D or whatever, career. It wasn't meant to be a career. People weren't meant to go to Washington, D.C. and stay there for 50 years. They just weren't. That's not how it works. And so you make such a great point. So you brought up masks, and I'll tell you, during COVID, I really followed what you were doing in Riverside County and all that, because it was very different than where I live here in Arizona and where I was a cop in Illinois. And but now we've got masks on a whole nother level. And in the state of California, the current governor tried to pass a law saying that law enforcement couldn't wear masks. Now, first and foremost, will you remind everybody why sometimes law enforcement officers on any agency have to cover their face?
Yeah, and it's twofold in this particular situation that we're dealing with ICE. It's twofold. So for us, we still have maybe SWAT members, or we have our dope cops that they would, especially in an undercover role, they're for the most part out there undercover working drugs. And they still have to be the ones that serve the warrants, their search warrants and everything else, and their arrest warrants. It's not, we don't get other people to go do their job for them. They're commingling the undercover and the arrest part. So when they go do those warrants, they wear masks. So no one knows that, hey, that's the guy that bought the drugs from me or sold me the drugs or whatever the case may be. He's been at all of our meetings and now he's here arresting us. That's the cop. So we do protect our identity, and there is good reason for that. So it's for us here, we do not want to be identified, especially in those undercover positions, and that is the role for masks. The deputies out on the street, we don't want them, wearing masks. I will say we're in this just was just a tangent, but one of the arguments that we had here is there are plenty of places in California that gets massive amount of snow, and I have places here where my deputies work mountain areas where it is freezing cold at night and they get snow and they wear masks, and this law would have prevented them from wearing beanies and masks to keep themselves warm because of this stupid political argument. And then, which leads us into ICE. So ICE has the same role. I mean, they're out serving warrants and everything else, and they do other things too. It's not just ICE. They're FBI agents. They're other federal officers that were doing this. But right when it started happening, these ICE agents were being doxxed and their families were being doxxed and their kids were being harassed at school by even teachers because of what was going on. So they started wearing masks to protect their identities because the TV cameras and people with cell phones, and then trying to find out who they were. This is a massive movement to try and find out who these people are, to somehow intimidate them or bully them into not doing their job. And so they all just started wearing masks to protect their identities and protect their families from this political violence that we have going on the far left. And it was legitimate. And so then the far left comes out and says, you can't wear masks because we want to know who you are so we can assault your family. That's basically what it is. And so it's, number one, you can't tell the federal government what to do. You can't pass a law that says that an ICE agent can't wear masks. They don't care. They don't fall under your jurisdiction. And so it was all a publicity stunt. It was a political ploy. It's starting to affect us now. It might, because what happened, that the ruling that came out was that because it exempted local law enforcement, they just said no, it's federal law enforcement. It made it discriminatory. So now it's an unconstitutional law, and so it was rejected, and so it's not good. The person that tried to get that passed, or that did get it passed, has vowed that he's going to bring it back, and they're going to include local law enforcement now. It'll never go anywhere. It's a horrible idea. And then now that law enforcement is going to have to start speaking out, our chiefs and our sheriffs and everything else, our residents are going to say enough is enough. Stop this ridiculousness.
When I was in high school, and then when I was a rookie cop, the California was the mecca, if you will, for us as law enforcement. I was in college. I'm like, I'm going to go to California and be a cop because they've got all the best everything, equipment, all that. And
Mhm.
honestly, in the last 10 or 12 years, your law enforcement officers throughout the state have really been under attack.
Mhm.
And I'm assuming you're hoping to restore
Oh, yeah.
that amazing reputation that California law enforcement has enjoyed for decades and decades. Real briefly, how are you going to do that?
I think it's narrative. So the narrative that is out there now is that law enforcement is bad and they're not protecting us. The reality is it was bad laws that prevented me from protecting the community. That's really what we've been fighting against. But now we've been able to educate the public and say, look, this was not our fault. We're doing everything we can for you. It's those lawmakers in Sacramento that are making it difficult or impossible for you to be safe in your community. They do have this love affair with criminals. And so what has happened is we've had a very, very public perception that has been developed because of a false narrative from the media and from our politicians. Well, now the public is learning that, hey, our cops aren't bad. We respect our cops. We like our cops. We know we have to have our cops. And now it's our politicians that we realize lied to us for the last 15 years. And so we want that back. And I'm definitely going to be that face of law enforcement. Yes, I'll be the governor, but I'm still going to be the former sheriff and that face of law enforcement to say, we are not doing bad things. Do we do things wrong sometimes? Maybe. And we fix it immediately so we never do that again. And that's what people want to know. That they just want to know that we're doing the best we possibly can. We're human, we may make errors, but it's still an honorable profession that is out there doing fantastic work in all of our communities, and it's not what the media or the politicians want to portray. So it's really that messaging, and I will be an unbelievably strong voice, not only for California but for the rest of the country, to make sure that the rest of the country knows this could happen to you if you follow our last 20 years. You're going to end up just like we were before we're making these changes. So don't follow what we were doing bad. Follow what we're doing good. Get rid of all of this anti-law enforcement rhetoric, this defund the police or downsize. They're doing everything they can to what is happening now. What we're noticing now is even in college, their schools, their teachers, their administrators, and this agenda is painting law enforcement in such a bad light. We don't have kids anymore that want to be cops. It used to be, I want to be a cop or a fireman or an astronaut or a nurse or all of those things that to help people. There's something inherent in every person that gives us joy and love to help someone else. And so these professions, the particularly law enforcement, it takes a special kind of person that wants to help others and make a difference in their community. But when the narrative is we're bad and we're racist and we're brutal and we violate people's rights and all of these things, kids are like, oh, maybe I don't want to be a cop. I want to do this. And so they went from the defund the police to take away their hiring pool. And we've got to combat that now too. And I will be a very, very loud voice across the entire country to say, we've got to stop this nonsense and get back to just common sense and the reality of what life really is.
That is so well said. And that is a perfect place to end. Sheriff Bianco, you have amazing social media. Where can people find your campaign, your social media, all that, learn more about you, and keep hearing this voice that really speaks such common sense and love for community, love for your state, and love for this nation? Where can people find you?
Yes, thank you. It's biancoforgovernor.com. We have fantastic merch too. We've got cool merch that you can buy that goes directly to the campaign to help us win this thing. You can sign up to volunteer. You can sign up just for information. We'll send you information about the campaign on a daily or weekly basis. And most importantly, social media. Follow me on all social media accounts, Sheriff Chad Bianco. Like all of the pages, share everything that I put out there. Some of it's very interesting. Some of it's a little humorous. We can make sure that we take advantage of the algorithms by liking and sharing and helping us save our beautiful state, because I'm telling you, we need to save California so we can save the rest of the country, because some of your states are following in the negative footsteps that California built several years ago, and you guys are experiencing it now. So we need to save California so we can save our country.
All right, Sheriff, thanks so much. Thanks for spending time with us today. And if you'd like more information about the National Police Association, you can visit us at nationalpolice.org.
Every day, the brave men and women of law enforcement put their lives on the line to keep us safe. But they need our help to continue their mission. Activist politicians, progressive prosecutors, the ACLU, and the rest of the anti-police forces receive millions in donations from extremist pro-criminal elements like George Soros and woke corporations. The National Police Association is fighting them in courts around the country, including the United States Supreme Court, defending officers who are being attacked for doing their jobs. Additionally, the National Police Association works year-round to pass tough-on-crime legislation to put and keep criminals behind bars. Consider going to nationalpolice.org and donating to keep us in the fight. Together we can win. That is nationalpolice.org.